welcome to Amberg Acres. So our next step on the pole barn is to line up the grade board. So what I'm doing, I reset this pole. This pole is set for my grade, which I want right over there. I want my gravel to be as high as that spot on that path, which I showed you on the last video. So I set this up. So helps if you turn it on, right? There it is. Helps if you turn it on. So, okay. So what I'm doing is I'm holding this on each one of them poles, and then I'm making a mark right on the bottom of this, right across the bottom, and that is giving me my grade line. So let's do this pole right here, and we'll get that on, and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, that's all I'm doing. Just putting a mark there for now. So let's take a look at that. So I'm just putting a mark right there on the post. Okay. That's my grade. That's where the grade is. So we have to fill that up either with gravel or whatever. As I get down here, it's going downhill. And then over there, it's going downhill. So there's a lot more fill over here that I'm going to need than I am here. So if you look at this one up here, the mark right there, I'm almost at grade on that post right there. And then as I go down, it gets higher, or lower. The sand is getting lower. I'm going downhill. So then what I'm doing is I'm taking my square and I'm making a line all the way around it. All right. And what that's going to do is I'm gonna put a nail in there, and then I'm going to set my grade boards on there on the outside and nail them in. And then when I come on the inside to do the one for the concrete, I'm going to do the same thing on the inside, only that's just going to be a 2x6. And then in between the posts and the grade boards, I'm going to put another 2x6, which is called a rat board. And what that does is that keeps any of the animals from coming up, you know, digging through your gravel or whatever from the outside, coming up and getting into your insulation. Now that doesn't come with the kit. That's something that I just seen on YouTube and wherever, and it makes a little box. So it's hard to describe, but you'll see it later on when we get that far. It's going to make a box, and then your insulation will go right down in that box. For insulating the walls later on. But that's how I'm doing it. There's all different ways of finishing out, you know, a pole barn. So you know, some people pour right around the post and up against the grade board, and that, to me, that is not correct. You should never have that concrete up against the post. So we're putting another board in there on the inside, and that's what the concrete's going to be against. And that's where we're at right now. So we got to go around. So we got to go around and do all these posts and get that all set up and get the nails in, and then we'll start hanging the grade boards. All right, now that I got the grade board on, you can see the difference. See how I'm almost at grade right here. You know, you figure 4 inches of gravel underneath there yet. Then you go down here And you can see I'm almost a foot, you know. That's how much this slopes off. So we gotta bring that up. We gotta pack some sand in there before we get the gravel and whatever. So that's how that's gonna look. And then I want to show you these girts. So some of you might think this is kind of anal, but I'm marking the center of my post, okay? Then I'm marking 9 foot. That's what my centers are supposed to be. So I'm marking 9 foot from the end there. So I started the board there at the center of that post, and I came over here 9 foot, and I put my strap on here and I moved the post until I got my 9 foot. And then I came down here, and this is my 18 feet minus 1.5 inches. So this board is a little long, so when you put the other 2x4 on here, there will be a little bit here to clean off. But you know, I can do that with a Sawzall or whatever later on, so I'm not even wasting my time cutting that board. So in this center board, okay, so they gave me three 18 footers is basically what they're using here. So this center board should be exactly 18. So I cut this board exactly 18 feet. So I'm on my mark here. Then you come down here to my center line. It's off a little bit. It's off about a 16th. So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna winch that pole over a little bit until I hit my mark. And same down here if I have to. This one's off. This one's off just a little bit. Okay. So that'll continue even if this pole starts skewing. You know, if this pole starts skewing here as it goes up, I'll keep pulling it over until I get these then at least all my lines are going to be on the center of the posts. And then once it's all up, once I got all the girts on, then we can, you know, pull on the corners and stuff to try and get this building square. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start square, you know, and measure your pieces. I know the bottoms were pretty close to being dead on because that's how I measured them when I sunk them in the holes. So I didn't worry about it on that grade board. But now that I'm going up each section, I think it's gonna get worse on each section as I go up. It's gonna get worse. So that's where we're at. We're gonna keep going. It looks like it's getting kind of dark over there. Might be getting some rain here. But we'll get as far as we can today. That pole actually moves very easy. I know, you know, you're in the ground here and whatever, but the further you get up, that pole is just like this here. It moves real easy. So it's not that hard to get these lined up and get them somewhat straight as you go. All right, we'll keep going. So now the last one on that end is just the opposite of the one there. I start at one end and measure over to my 9 and then 18 minus the 1.5 inches. And yeah, it's going pretty good so far. So we're gonna be going up in a basket today. I got Barb out here helping me, and we're gonna go up in a basket and put them last 2 rows on. gonna get back at it today. I stopped trying to put on that top piece up there. And the reason was one, it wasn't coming out straight. It wasn't lining up to my lines. I was trying to use spacers. I calculated out what size spacer that would be for that top one. And when I put it on them spacers, it wasn't coming out to my lines. So either we didn't measure it correctly and our measuring system is that bad, or the fact that we stack this up, you know, that you're stacking, each one has a little bit of a, you know, mismatch or something, and then by the time you get to the top, you're off by 1/4 inch. So the reason that's critical is that is where the trusses are going to sit on. I want a board up there that I can put the trusses on, so that we're not sitting there struggling to hold them in place. All right. Now that's not in there by design. That is, if you look at the Menards print, it does not have that top purlin on there, or I'm sorry, top girt. But I'm putting it on myself. I'm gonna go get some extra boards and we're gonna put that on there, just so that we have something to, you know, to hang on to for one when we're up there, and then have something to set that truss on. So when we're trying to get it into position, we're not sitting there, because they're not straight. You know, I don't know if you ever seen these stuff come on a truck. They're not anywhere close to being straight. So we're gonna have to, you know, do some pushing and pulling up there, and I want something to set that thing on while we're doing that. So that's why that one's going in there. But I couldn't reach it with the basket decent. I couldn't see my line above it because I wasn't tall enough to see my line. So we're gonna set something else up, some type of scaffolding maybe, or something, so that we have a decent place to stand up there and work as we put the trusses on. I could go rent a lift, but it's so uneven here, I don't even want to look into that, because it's probably going to cost more than it's worth. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to continue on the back, get this other wall with the ones that I can reach, and then we'll go from there. So I think that's going to be it here for now. We're just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna go get working. I can frame in the garage door over there a little bit, and then this weekend I'll run and get some more boards, and we'll get this all set up ready for the trusses. So we went around with the laser the other day and we shot all our grades, and then I made a mark all the way around the pole, and that's how we're setting our grade. So we're just gonna put a little nail in there, framing nail. Just putting it in just right below the line. Then we set that grade board on top of it, and that should make that grade board fairly straight all the way around the building. And then we have to basically, what I was doing for that top board was I was measuring up from that grade board. Now, is that the best way to do that? I don't know. Maybe I should just mark a corner and then use a level, but the problem is none of these boards are very straight. So, you know, I'm bending them into place, so I don't think the level is the answer either. But I could go up there and shoot another line. You know, with the laser, I could take the laser up there and shoot another line, and then mark every top of every board. That probably is the way to do it. So I also got the center mark there. So we're gonna lay that on there and line it up on that end, and then check these other poles. So I started on that end. I made that end flush with the pole. And then this one here and this one here. close, but I gotta move them a little bit. Let me get my strap hooked up. So I put my strap over here on this other, well actually I got it around a tree to this other pole. And then I just pulled it a little bit to get this one to line up here. So you have to excuse my my nailing efforts. I am way out of nailing shape. We actually took the day off yesterday because my arms hurt so bad from nailing and being up on that lift and stuff the other day. Yeah, that's all I can say. So I got to be in a certain position to swing that hammer right, and that made it hard up there on that lift. You know, being out of position to swing a hammer. I was actually using two hands just to nail some of them. But we'll get her. It's going. So now I got to check this other one here and see how close that one is. Yeah, that one's almost right on. We're gonna put her in right there where she is. All right, so that little bit gets cut off then. I don't know, they say these so-called laminated posts are so much straighter and better, but I'm not seeing it. It's crooked as heck. So, I don't know. Don't know that that's better or not, but that's the way they sent it. This one pole was laminated for whatever reason. I think it's because of the height. I think I mentioned that before. It's supposed to be 26 feet, and they left the top off, so I don't know where I'm supposed to get the 2x6s to finish that 26 feet out, but I guess we'll see what it looks like when we get the truss up on there. All right, we're going to continue this. So my spacer blocks are made to 31.5 inches, which is supposed to be 35 inches on center. So you take the 35 inches and subtract 3.5 from it, it comes to 31.5. And that's what I made those spacers to. And then that carries your space all the way up to the top there. So I got to get up here and put some headers up here for the garage door, and that's it. Get the rest of these girts up. Okay, I went and got some 20 footers here, because that's what this is. So my first mark is going to be at 9 foot 10.5 inches. Now where do I get that number from, you ask? So remember, the dimension goes to the outside of that 2x8 grade board. So from there to the center of this post is 10 feet. So we have to subtract that 1.5 inches because I'm putting this end flush with that 6x6. So that we eliminated 1.5 inches off that 10 foot. And then the next mark is going to be 19 foot 10.5 inches. And that'll be the edge of this board right here, this other board. So the 19 10.5 will be the edge of that laminated board right there. Alright, I gotta go get my square. I'll be right back. So using these spacers is probably the easiest way to do this if you're doing it yourself. If you got more than one guy, you could just mark lines and hang your boards up, but this is the easiest way to do it when you're doing stuff yourself. It's going to hold the board in place while you get it lined up. All right, so we got this one marked. Now the other thing you got to watch for is these here, they're 6 by 6, right? So technically they're supposed to be 5.5 by 5.5. But I have some that are 5 3/4. This laminated one is only like 4 5/8. Should be 4.5. So they're all over the place. So that's why I mark the print is dimensioned off the center. So that's why I mark each one on the center, so that at least I'm getting it halfway close. So all I'm trying to do is distress that a little bit, because otherwise you're going to have a crooked shed when you get up to the top. So now that I got 2 boards fastened down there, I'm going to take and I'm going to pull this pole against that other pole, because I know this one's got a really good curve to it just from when I set them in. So, and looking at this one looks pretty good here. So I'm going to pull on that middle one instead of the end. Sometimes I think I fight more with them straps than they're worth, you know. Seems like once they get wet, they're pretty much useless. They start to rust and they don't move decent. The latching mechanisms don't work anymore. So I have the next board ready to go up. I wanted to talk about this ladder for a second. I got 2 of them actually. So I bought these. They were like a Black Friday sale at Menards, and they're nice little ladders. They're great inside the garage, you know, in your house. They're nice and light and easy to move around. But when you get out here on this uneven surface, they're not that great. They're not wide enough at the bottom. They need to be wider so you have a better stance. You get up there and all of a sudden the thing wants to start moving on you, you know. At this lower height it's no big deal, but when you get up higher it is a big deal, you know. But these are called the Mighty multi-ladder, and I got it at Menards. So they work pretty good. They're just not the greatest for outdoors, but either are my extension ladders. I got 2 like 16-foot extension ladders, and those 2, the legs will sink into the mud or something on you, and all of a sudden next thing you know you're ready to fall over. So they're, you know, nothing's ever perfect is what I'm trying to say. So you gotta kind of just work with it and get the job done, right? Okay, let me make sure I got some nails here. And you know, before I was telling you that these braces or these spacers help when you're doing it yourself. I'm not having too good of luck right now. Let's try lifting it at the middle. So my arm is doing pretty good. I don't have much pain, if any. I get a little bit right here in the top of the shoulder. But what I do notice is that when I'm up trying to reach up like that, it's weak. It's not like this one I can lift the 2x4 right up. This one I need to work at it a little more, you know. So other than that, it's okay, you know. Hopefully it gets better as time progresses, the more I'm using it and lifting with it. But just thought I'd share that with you if you saw me struggling a little bit. All right, well, that side's done until till Barb gets back from babysitting. Then she'll have to lift me up in a basket to do that top piece. Well, guys, it is a hot one out here today. But I got all the girts up. Grade boards are on, except for this front wall. I explained before, I'm leaving this wall off. It'll make it easier for us to get the trusses in. And I'll put that up later after I get the trusses in. I got a couple of the corner braces on. That really stiffened it up, putting them corner braces on. I want to show you a couple of things here. So right up here, I put blocks instead of a girt across. And the reason I did that is because the truss has to sit on something, or that I'm putting that there for me to help hold the truss up while we're nailing it in, so that we're not having to hang on to the stuff. But I left it like that with the gaps. That way the device that I'm working on to lift the trusses up, I'll be able to just lift it up there and unhook it real easily. If I put that girt on there, then my thing is going to be sandwiched between the girt and the truss, and it'll make it more difficult to get it apart, get it out of there. So I think this is what I'm going to try this and see if it works. Like I said before, there isn't supposed to be a girt there according to the print. That's just supposed to be your truss. So I'm going to try this and see how it works, and if it works, I'll use it on the other side. So other than that, I added that girt up on top all the way along there. Got it nice and straight. That's what the trusses will sit on while I get them positioned and whatever. So we don't have to hold them or nothing. And yeah, we're good to go. So that is going to be a wrap for this week. I am going to make a Menards run tomorrow to get some of the 2x4s replaced that I screwed up. I got a 2x6 back there that's cracked in half. That is just a bad board. I'm going to see if I can get that replaced. And yeah, so we're going to wrap it up for this week. So give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. And if you like these videos, keep watching. See you on the next one.